Welcome to our custom.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel Custom Carving and Epoxy UK. And you may remember a few videos ago I used this Phoenix mould with the Petri effect, and I wasn't overly happy with the results to mount it on that canvas that I did. So I've got these tiny Turner pigments, and you know what, a Phoenix is part of your imagination as to what colours it's going to be. So I'm just going to use 3 of these tiny Turner chameleon colours, powders. So I'm going to go with Inferno for the body and the head, I think. And then I'm going to do a combination of Nether and Poison in the wings and the tail, just to see what we get, and if we get an effect that I'm happier with, to mount it on the canvas. So it's going to be a pretty straightforward video, and a few people in the UK have really struggled to get hold of these tiny Turner chameleon powders, which are amazing, by the way. You can get them on Toompish, toompish.com. Wendy over there does them. They come in packs of 6, or you can buy them individually as colours as well, which is one thing that I like, because you'll always find when you buy a pack, which is normally what I do, you'll get your favourite colours, then you'll run out of them. So not too expensive either. They're about £6 each. You don't get a lot, but they do go a long way. So get yourself over there and have a look on Toompish if you want any of these. And we're going to do this Phoenix, and it's going to be a pretty straightforward project. So the plan is, I think I want most of the body and the head in this Inferno colour, which is a really vibrant, orangey, yellowy, goldy colour. To green, I think it goes to. And as you can see, you don't get a lot of powder, but it does go a long way. So I'm just going to get some on the brush, not too much, and just start in that body. And then move it around, hopefully only getting it in the areas that I want. It's quite relaxing as well doing this. If you've never done it before, just paint a mould. But you get some stunning colours from these chameleon powders. They're some of the best that I've ever used. And I think, personally, they're worth the money. Which I wouldn't say if I didn't think that would get an effect that was worth it. So I'm just going around, as you can see, covering the bits that I want covered in this particular colour. And it doesn't have to be perfect, because they will all sort of merge and blend together in a really cool way. So I'm pretty happy that most of this body is now covered. And now I'm going to go up into the head. And the plan is with this, if I like the way that it turns out, I'm going to go into each of these corners as well, just because I think the body naturally would do that. Then I'm going to mount it on that canvas as well and have it on my wall. And it really does work well on moulds like this. And you know what? It's no special technique. It's no having to wait for your resin to get to certain temperatures. And that's why I think these sorts of projects are great for beginners as well. Because all you've got to be able to do is paint the powders where you want them in your mould. And you should get these amazing effects. So now I'm just going to go around that area again and just burnish it in to really emphasize the powders and that shine. And whenever you do something like this, it's always the first mica to touch your mould that will mainly colour it. So I'm pretty happy with that. As you can see, it's all the way in there in that head and mainly that body. Now for the rest, as I say, I'm going to use a combination of 2, I think. And I might still just go over a couple of these outer feathers to bring everything together. Just because the mould is quite detailed. Like that. And it allows me to hopefully just follow the mould around up into this top one and back round. Again, just trying to burnish it in as I'm going. And trying to get it all the way into the tip. Like so. And again, I just thought for me, it makes sense to do this. Just to have a couple of those colours, hopefully coming all the way through. Like so. So into these tail feathers. And then we're going to play with the other colours. I just want to make sure that it is absolutely everywhere where I want it at the minute. And then we're going to start with the others. So that is enough of that one. I'm just wiping it off. Any excess can come off before we go in with the next colour, which I think I want to do the poison next, which is a slightly pinker colour. And I don't want too much of this, so that's why I'm going on for this one next. I'm just going to a tiny bit on the end of my brush. And I think I want it just in these end bits like this. So it's just touching the tips. And again, I don't know if this is going to work the way that I thought it would, but there's only one way to find out. And that is to actually do it. And this channel is all about experimenting. It's all about trying new products like these tiny turners, which are new to me. I know they're not new. And seeing what effects we can get. So if there's anything that you've seen on the market that you want us to try that we haven't yet as well, let me know. I want this to be your channel as well as mine. I'm just painting, as I say, these edges, I think, really. Now with this one. And this does take a little bit of time to paint your molds, but trust me, the results will be worth it. And you don't want to waste any either, so just make sure that you're using it reasonably sparingly. Just going over those colours where you want them. I'm really burnishing them in. As I say, this one's more of a pinks to green. And as you can see, I'm just trying to really get it into these edges. And then we can go over the rest with the final colour. And again, I don't know if this is going to work. I don't know if it's going to give me the effect that I'm wanting. But we'll see. I'm hoping it will. And with resin, it does what it wants some of the times. But with things like this, it should pretty much stay where you paint it. And then again, just going to go into this side now. And just paint the tips is what I'm aiming for. And, oh, nearly forgot in this head as well. So I want a little bit in here. And I am getting some of the powders where I don't want them here, which I don't want to waste any. And I just think it'd be cool if we get that colour contrast between the different ones in some of these different feathers and see what happens. And again, I'm mixing and matching these different tiny Turner colours, and I'm hoping that's going to give me a good effect in the end. You never know until you're done, until you actually pour and demold. So that's that one. And there's still a bit of powder in there, but I'm not worried about that because I'm going to have to make sure that I go around the whole thing with a soft brush at the end just to make sure that it's fully burnished. So the last one is this nether, which is a sort of deep purpley colour. And look at that. So again, just going to use my brush, get as much of that on there as I can. And we're going to go over any areas that I haven't already gone over. And this time I can be quite liberal with it because I've already gone over the rest of it. But again, just really burnishing them in. And hopefully we're going to get these different colour blends coming through into the final piece. And hopefully it's going to give us some really cool effects for this phoenix. And then I can finally get a phoenix that I'm happy with mounted onto that canvas that we did in the previous video. So we will see. But I am loving these colours. These tiny Turners, I've not seen a chameleon powder like them yet in any other range. Just the colours and the shines that you get. There's nothing else like them on the market at the moment. So that's pretty much the front of it done. Now I want to make sure that these sides are still covered because it'll look horrible if it's just black. So all I'm going to do now is I know I've got some spare powder pretty much in that mould from where I put it in. So I'm going to tap that off just to make sure that my big soft brush, and I'm just going to go all the way around the edges now, making sure that the whole thing is fully burnished and I'm in all of these nooks and crannies at the sides, just to make sure that I've got coverage all over this mould of some sort. And as you can see, this bit is pretty straightforward because I'm not bothered about the colours going into anywhere in particular. I'm just going around those sides mainly to make sure that I've got that coverage in all of the sides, all of the head. And it's just using any remnants of powder that I might have left in the mould to cover these sides. And as we all know, with chameleon powders of any kind, blacks tend to get you your best results. So I'm going to mix up, I think this is 3.5 to 4 ounces of resin this mould takes. So I'm going to mix up 3.5, 4 ounces of resin. Then we're going to pour, and I think I'm going to be happy with this Phoenix. I've got a feeling that this is going to be the one that I go, yeah, do you know what? You're deserving to go on that canvas. There we go. Completely burnished everywhere. And I'm going to give you a bit of a close-up of this shimmer and the colours in a second. Because for me, as I say, there's nothing that's quite like these on the market. And I love them. But look at those colours. Absolutely stunning. And now it's dead straightforward. I'm going to mix up some resin. So I'm probably going to do 4 ounces just to be safe. And I'll see you in a sec. So we're back, and I've just mixed up about 4 ounces of resin, and I've just noticed I've just run out. So I need to get some more resin ordered. Otherwise we won't be having any videos for a while. So I'm just putting some black resin dye pigment paste in there. I don't think I'm going to add anything to this apart from the pigment paste. So this is just going to come out plain black. So again, just mixing it around, making sure I've got every bit mixed in. And when you do this, you don't really need to worry about bubbles as much. I did put it through the debubbler, but I did it in this silicone pot, so it just got any of the bigger ones out. What you find is with the debubblers, you're better off using the hard plastic pots than these silicone ones. And I think it's because these sort of shake with the vibrations and it stops them working as effectively. So if you're having any problems with still getting bubbles in, if you're using a debubbler, don't use these silicone tubs, use the hard plastic ones. Top tip. So now I'm just going to pour, and if I've got any left over, I've got a couple of molds at the side of me that I'm going to experiment with. So again, it's just about filling it in so that we can get all of those details in there. And hopefully this is going to be the Phoenix that's going to get mounted on that canvas at the end. And I think I am going to have some spare, which is good. Well, I say good. I've got another mould at the side of me that I want to experiment with. And it should be, with these pigment powders and black resin, it should be a pretty quick project. So that's almost full to the brim. I can probably add another touch. And then what I'm going to do is use my silicone tool to get it in all of those gaps. Here we go. So here's a silicone tool. I'm just pulling it all the way through into these nooks and crannies. Same on the tips of the wings, because you want to make sure it goes all the way to the tip. And here as well. These little bits here as well were quite fragile last time I demolded. So again, just going to go over them and into them, making sure that resin is in every part. Now, I've not got a lot of resin left, which in a way is good, because I think this is just over 3.5 ounces. But I have got a couple of molds that I wanted to experiment with these tiny turners with. This is one of them, which is one that I used some metallic alcohol inks on last time and got that really cool effect. But because I've got some spare resin, I might as well brush it with one of these pigments and see what happens. In fact, I'm going to be creative. I'm going to use a couple of them. So again, Inferno, you're probably noticing that Inferno is now my favourite. But I'm going to give this dragon some traditional green as well. So again, just going to get a tiny bit on that brush. And this time I want that in the horns, ideally. And this is a tiny, tiny detailed mould. But I just want it predominantly in these horns, all the way through to that tip. And then I am going to put it in 2 or 3 other areas. There's almost like gold, what I think are rosettes here in this mould. And this is just because I've got some spare resin left over. This wasn't planned, so I suppose you're getting 2 projects for the price of 1. And why not when you've got some resin left? Bit heavy there. I think these are little horns as well there. Let's go around the side of this one. And here. I think that's what they're supposed to be anyway. There we go. I think that's enough of the Inferno for this one. Just going to go around again. Making sure it's going all the way into the tips. And I don't think I've missed any. I think they're the main rosettes if memory serves correct. And then I think I'm just going to use one of these greens because I haven't really used them in a project yet. And I wanted to see what they come out like. And with a dragon, I think green would be perfect. So do I go with this Nature, which is a really vibrant green? Or do I go with this green to blue? I think I'm going to go with Ether. And again, even with these detailed molds, you can go as detailed as you want. So it's up to you. So I'm just going to use the big brush for this and just literally now burnish the rest of this mold. Might need a tiny touch more. And see, it goes a long, long way. It's a really light powder. And I think because of that, it spreads really well. So you don't need a lot. And as I say, this is just because I had some leftover resin. I thought it'd be fun to see what this green comes out like. And again, I'm just burnishing it into that mould. Going all the way around, hopefully getting it into every nook and cranny in those edges. Like so. And then we're going to pour it. And if I've got spare, I've got another one to the side of me that I can try as well. And these are actually fondant moulds. But I find they work really well with resin if you're just careful with them. And the great thing is when you're doing a technique like this, the mic has actually helped prevent the bubbles. Now this is going to take virtually no resin. But look at that. I think it's going to come out cool. So I've got that on move this to one side. And then the same again, I'm just going to pour from the center on this one, which is the deepest point. And I think I'm going to have enough left over to do another one, you know. And just going around the mold. And then I am going to have to use a brush or something or a silicone tool to pull it into the edges. But again, the great thing with these fondant molds, they don't take hardly any resin, so I still have got some spare. So we are going to do another one. So you're going to get 3 projects for the price of 1. And then what I do is I just pull it round into all of these edges with my silicone tool, making sure that they're all filled. And if anything, I've slightly overfilled this. They take virtually no resin, which is great when you're low on resin like I am at the minute. There we go. So that's the dragon. And I'm going to torch these in a second. Now I've got this one, which I was going to do its own little video on, but do you know what? I've got the resin spare now, so I'm going to do it. See if I can do it quickly, but still get a cool effect. Again, just torching off any excess bubbles. So here we go. It's a dragonfly one, but the thing that concerns me is I want the dragonfly wings on this to pretty much stay clear. Or do I? No, I'm not going to use this. I'm going to save that for its own video because I think there's a lot I can do with that, even though it's such a small mold. So I'm just having a look around my workstation at the minute for any little molds that I think I could use for this. And I think I've only got enough resin for probably 3 small pieces or 1 decent size one. Should we do some teddy bear key rings just for the fun of it? Let's do it in different colours. So I've got 2 there. I'm just seeing how many molds I've got to the side of me. Let's do it. Let's do some fun little teddy bears in different colours. I think there should be enough there to do 4. And then these can get listed on the shop. And all I'm going to do with these, dead straightforward, is again use these tiny turner powders. Not a lot, because these molds won't take a lot either. Just a little dip. So this one can be Inferno. Just going around the mold, making sure I've got it all covered. And it's as simple as that with these. So we're going to have some really, really cool metallic teddy bears on the eBay shop, which I'm going to be hopefully launching next week. Look at that. So that is that Inferno. And I think I've got enough spare resin there to do 4. I hope I have. So that's the Inferno. This is the Nether, which again, I love. So I'm going to do the Nether next. And again, it really doesn't take a lot. I'm just going around the whole of the mould. And if you're doing it as messily as I am, it will take a bit of cleaning the mould after the outer bits, but we don't mind that. So there's that one, which is the Nether. Then I think I'm going to do one in Poison and one in Arcane, because we've already got the green in the Dragon, and I think it would just be a fun way to see them all as well if I can get 4. I think I've still got about 1.5 ounces of resin though, so we should be okay. So this one is that Poison. Again, tiny bit on the end of the brush. Mix it round into all of the nooks and crannies. And it adheres really well to the mould. So that is that one. And it's literally, as you can see, it's like a 2-second job with these powders. It's amazing. You can go as detailed as you want, or you can just, as I say, brush one on. And then the last one I'm going to do is the Arcane. So hopefully we're going to get enough for these 4 teddy bear key rings, as well as the Dragon, and as well as the Phoenix. And as I say, I'm going to put these key rings on the eBay shop when I open it, which is going to be live hopefully next week. So again, it will just be another way to help support the channel and get a piece of my art if you want it. So there we go. There's that one as well. So that's 4 little teddy bears ready to be poured. And I think these are really cool. I would happily have one of these on my key ring. So let's get these ready and let's get them poured. And then tomorrow is going to be an exciting demold day. I was only expecting to demold 1 piece, but Here we go. If you've got spare resin, you might as well use it. Okay, and I'm going to let that settle. Let me know in comments as well, what's your favourite colour in these tiny Turner chameleon powders? And there's lots of different powders that I haven't even tried yet. So I think I'm going to be getting a lot more after seeing these results. I think I'm still going to have some left over, you know. I am. So I think I'm going to start another drip mould with what's left. They're pretty full. So we're going to let those cure as well. And I've still got probably about half an ounce left. So I'm just seeing if I've got another small mould. You know what? I have. And I think these would look really cool if I've got enough. So I've got another fondant mould to the side of me, which is these little seahorses. Again, really intricate mould. Shouldn't take a lot to fill these. I'm going to use a combination of different colours, I think. And then that should be it. So a little bit of the Inferno on the belly. Again, let me know what you think in comments. Are you liking these? And just on that belly part. And then I'm going to go over them in a different colour. And I think I want these to be, I think they can be the pinky purple. So I'm going to go with the Arcane. In fact, before I do that, I'm going to try and see if I can do the same effect with these baby ones. Doubtful because they're so tiny. But again, if I've got the resin, I'm going to try it. Again, just going into the little bellies of those as well. And now the rest of it, I'm just going to go around. It's not going to take a lot with these. I might need a tiny bit more than what I've put in. Just because, again, I think I've been a little bit stingy. Again, the reason I'm using this harder one first is just to make sure that I'm getting it into all of these little tiny areas, which I think could be difficult with the big one. Especially that tail. And then I'm going to go over it with the big soft one again. And this is just, let's say, trying to burnish it in as best as I can. And this is just because we had that spare resin. But sometimes your spare resin pieces turn out to be your favourite pieces, and the main project doesn't turn out as well as you'd hoped. So always use that spare resin. Again, just trying to make sure I'm going in all of these little nooks and crannies at the side of this seahorse. Because just because you're using your spare resin, you still want it to come out a successful piece. And then just a tiny bit more, making sure I'm going around all of these nooks and crannies. And then I'm going to use the big soft one again and just really burnish them. And in fact, this one, I'm not confident that's gone all the way into that tail. So I just want to, again, really get in there. So here we go. So this is going to be the seahorses as well, and hopefully that will have used all of the spare resin, and then we can let them cure. But again, these take virtually no resin. They're really difficult actually, because these tiny seahorses, it's literally a couple of drops of resin. So I'm going to start off with this one at the top, and I literally just need a drop. Come on. I'm going to put sort of 3 drops in and then let it do its thing. And I can pull it all the way through the mould. I'm going to do the small ones first because they're the most intricate. And very easy to over pour, like that one. And then I'm just going to use my tool, as I say, I'm trying to convince it to come round into that tiny tail. You can always clean them up again at demold, but it's easier to not have to do that. So there's that one. This one again, just pulling it through all the way, especially into that nose. And then round into that tail. Probably needs a drop more in this one, I think. As with this one is slightly over, so I'm going to actually steal a drop from that and put it in this one. Actually easier to do that than to add another drop. I think there's going to be enough for one of these, so let's do a different kind of seahorse as well. And I've got my diamond molds from Resin. And again, I'm just going to try and do the same sort of design for 2 different colours using these powders because I've got them out. So a tiny bit of the powder for the belly. And these are diamond molds, so it's going to be interesting to see what these chameleon tiny turnip powders come out like in this mold. Again, not tried that before. The last ones I did of these came out a bit like Roundtree's fruit pastels, which wasn't necessarily the look I was going for. But I'm going to try a few different ones in this, just because it's a big fat seahorse, this one. So hopefully it's going to use up the last bits of that resin. And I want to get a few different colours in there. Let's go with some nether. Again, I don't know how these are going to turn out in a diamond mould, but we're going to find out. And again, you're not supposed to touch the inside of these diamond molds from Resin. But let's see what happens. Doesn't say you can't paint micas on them though, so we will see. Now I'm just going around the sides, making sure that I've got the sides covered as well. More than enough powder in there. But hopefully this is going to come out really cool actually. There we go, there's that diamond Resin seahorse mould. And again, just burnishing it round, making sure the sides are covered. And I am going to clean the top of this one. Look at that though. Could give us a cool effect. And again, it's just using that spare resin. And if I've got enough, I've got a jellyfish one next to it as well. So I'm going to try that. But let's see. First, let's look at overzealous. And I normally do these clear actually. So it's going to be really interesting for me just to see what these look like dark with these tiny Turner pigment powders. But I think this is going to be the last of the spare resin. So we got there in the end. So as well as the piece that we planned, we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 extra pieces if you include those baby seahorses. But again, it's definitely better than wasting them. And do me a favor, as always, if you're liking the content, if you're liking the experiments, just hit that like button, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. It's free, it helps us grow. And if you can afford it, memberships are also open, which for the price of a coffee gets you entered into that monthly prize draw to win a piece of my art wherever you are in the world. And it's a great way to support the channel. There we go. So tomorrow is going to be a very, very interesting demold day. We're going to have the Phoenix, 4 teddy bears, 5 seahorses, and that dragon. So I'll see you tomorrow for demold. And here we go, guys. And it's actually 6 o'clock in the morning the next day, and I was going to wait until I got back from work to demold these. But you know me, impatient Andy, couldn't wait because I want to see what these look like. So I'm going to do them before going to work. So I think we'll start off with the teddy bears. They should be pretty straightforward, and I'm going to make these into some key rings, I think. As I say, the molds are going to take a bit more cleaning than usual, but that shouldn't be an issue. Look at that guy. Really cool. Just those different colours really coming through. Almost a metallic look, I think. So we'll put him there for now. Next, we've got the purpley colour one. And again, look at that. Wow, look at him. Again, it's almost a metallic purple, it looks like. But again, I think that'll make a really cool keyring. I think this was the poison. Wow, look at those pinks to green on him. That is stunning. Now that would be an amazing keyring for somebody, I think. Look at that. Definitely see the colour shifts more on him under this light anyway. And then the last one was the Inferno, I think. So that's the Inferno with those golds to oranges. And again, you can really see the colour shifts. So loving those. And they're going to be key rings. Just something small, you know, that I can stock up the eBay shop with. And I'm not going to tell you where it is just yet, but it is live currently. I want to get a few hundred listings on there first so that if there is anything you want, even if it's something small like this, you'll be able to go and get it. Obviously I need to turn those into key rings first. So that's those. Now this one I'm really curious about because it was the diamond mold from Resin. And again, I've only ever done these really with clear and some alcohol inks. So this was just something different. And the mold's going to take a bit more cleaning, as you can see. But I'm hoping the effect is going to be worth the extra effort and the cleaning. We will find out. So I'm just going to get his tail out. There we go. Wow, look at that. Now that has come out absolutely stunning. There's a slight bit of overpour there, which I'm going to fix in his tail, as you can see. But look at that. So the diamond molds look stunning with these chameleon powders, as I thought they would. And as I say, it's going to take a little bit more cleaning. Or maybe, just to get those extra final bits out, I'll just fill it with some clear resin and alcohol inks. Then we'll have a few of these on the diamonds as well, and that should get those extra bits out as well. So I'll think about that in the next project. But look at that. That is amazing. And again, I think that would be a really cool keyring for somebody. Next, I'm going to try and demold these small ones. Now you've got to be really careful with these tails, because if anything's going to break on them, it's the tail. So, got that one out okay. And, we got the pair out safely without them snapping. So, tiny bit of overpour. I'm just going to try and get rid of that. Look at those. Little tiny seahorses. But look at the sparkle on them. Loving those. So that's the small ones. What I'm going to use those in, I don't know. And now for the bigger ones. Remember, all of these were pretty much with spear resin. So these is the mummy and the daddy seahorse. Wow. Again, tiny bit of overpour, but look at these. And that was using those two different colours. Almost a his and hers. So that's the mummy and the daddy seahorse. And I think these are the little baby seahorses. And I've got a few ideas for those. So I'm probably going to end up using these in another project. Sorry about that, camera issues, but there we go. But look at those. They came out beautiful. So that's the seahorses. Now I'm going to do the dragon, which was the greeny one. And again, I'm really curious as to how this one's come out. Now with this mould, look at how delicate these bits are. So you've just got to be careful when you demould, because you don't want to snap them off. Wow. Look at that for a green dragon. And I like the fact that I got those different colours into the horns and these little rosettes. Let me know what you think of him. Beautiful. And then the main piece, the phoenix. Is he going to rise from the ashes, or is he going to be a flop? We'll find out. And the great thing is it demolds pretty easily, so just going around all the edges, making sure I get these smaller bits out before I then get the bigger bit. And I'm loving the way that the shimmers happened on the back as well. And here we go. And he is out, or she. Wow, look at that. Now that is stunning. And I think that's what I was looking for to go on that canvas. So I'm gonna put it on the canvas, get you a few more shots of it hanging on the wall. Obviously trim up any of these loose bits around the edges, but look at that. Just using those tiny turners. Beautiful. So I hope you've liked the video. We've got lots more than I was expecting to do. And I'm going to mount this on the canvas, get you some close-ups of all of these. I think that's also one of my favourites, using the diamond effect moulds from Into Resin. Look at that. As well as the phoenix, of course. And apart from that, like and subscribe. And if you can, join memberships. It's a great way to support the channel. Gonna get him mounted, gonna get you some close-ups, and I'll see you guys on the next one.
Welcome to our custom space, where dreams take flight. A positive visions come to life. It's a perfect sight. We born together, blooming three, resin family. Testing my God's new creations, we set them free. Join our journey, like and subscribe. This is our place. Ocean seas to dragons and blooms, we carve with grace. Welcome to custom carving, where dreams come true. Epoxy magic flowing just for me and you.